Hello everybody, I'm Piva, from Indonesia. I work for a certain program, Asian Cities Climate Change Resilience Network program, and I also become the gender focal point for Mexico. So it means that I'm not the expert, but I were taught on how to do this into our program. So today I will give the explanation about the presentation about sex and age disaggregated data, or usually known as SADD, and gender analysis as the basis for gender integration to climate change project, and it's as a way to reach the most vulnerable and to sustain impact. So the summary of my presentation, I will explain a bit about Indonesian context, and then what's ACCCRN program, the climate change impact in Asian cities, and our climate change adaptation project, so you know the whole background of it. And then the gender definition and approach that we use. Then the SADD data and its application to our climate change project, and the gender analysis and its application of the project, and the final one is lesson learned. So the first is Indonesia. Yeah, maybe some of you already know a lot about Indonesia and maybe already visit Indonesia. Yes, in Indonesia, we are island country. There's more than 17,000 islands in Indonesia, where there are more than 270 million people live in mostly in coastal areas. And Indonesia is like wide, vary in terms of ethnic group, religions, and also the tribes. So just imagine there's like lots of variation there. And we also still have a gender problem until now. And it's just some example of the gender problem that we face, that there's like 38% only of women who work in civilians field as in civilian worker in Indonesia, while the rest mostly still work in a traditional work, like in the household. And there's like the gap of the salary is about 19%, and the public service for disabled still inadequate, and like only 50% from children from low income families enrolled in secondary school. So this is just a bit from the gender problems that we have in Indonesia. My program, which is ACCCRN, the name is quite long, Asian Cities Climate Change Resilience Network, yeah, or just call it as ACCCRN. Yeah, it's a program funded by Rockefeller Foundation. It's a network within 4 countries, which is Vietnam, India, Thailand, and Indonesia. The overall goal for Indonesia is, as you can see, it's the catalyzing attention to funding and action around climate necessary to build resilience of poor and vulnerable Indonesian urban communities. So this is the goal of our program in Indonesia, where in Indonesia the climate change impact has really affecting our country. And in 2 of the cities that we've been worked with since 2009, which is Semarang cities and Bangkok cities, we see that the vulnerability is, they face the impact of climate change, where there's a sea level rise. This sea level rise has impacted to the loss of lands. Many fish pond farmers in coastal area has lost their fish ponds, and even our mangrove forests in the coastal areas were sank. And also there's drought, and this climate change also impacted to the season. The changing of season is happening, and if there is a natural disaster, the impact of natural disaster become even more severe. So when we have like flood, it's like since the season is changing, so you can experience rain hard during summer, and it's really unexpected, and also it's like really high dense city of the rain, and it causes flood, and the impact is much more severe than before, and it has caused loss of asset and even lives of the people. Yeah, and it's also caused like landslide because of it, and more impacts happened in our cities. So these are the location of the cities we're working with. Previously in our phase 1 to phase 3, we only work in 2 cities, in Semarang and Bandar Lampung cities. But in our phase 4, which will be until 2016, we will work in 5 more cities, and we might add another one, which is Tarakan at the corner, at the top. Yeah. So the way how we work in the cities, we collaborate with the municipalities, and the mayor will support us by delivering the decree where they should have the city teams, which is the teams consist of the people from municipalities, from universities, and also from local NGO who collaborate with us to help the vulnerable, the poor and vulnerable people in the cities to cope with climate change impact. So the basis for our program is first we make the vulnerability assessment. Yeah, so for those of you who work in climate change sector, you must already understand about this. This is like the assessment to know how vulnerable your city is. And from this vulnerability assessment, we will get to know about the priorities of issue of vulnerability in our cities. And from vulnerability assessment, it will give a recommendation for the city to make the city resilience strategy, which is the strategy to cope with the climate change impact at the cities. And it's also take into account the current mayor vision and mission. So it's the document used by the local government to determine or the strategy to how to cope with climate change impact in their cities. From that city resilience strategy, then there's like the climate change adaptation projects. The pilot is designed and implemented for Bandar Lampung. We have the problem with flood, and one of the idea that comes up to handle with this problem is to have the biopore to help with the water lodging and to help reduce the effect of the flood when it comes from upstreams to downstreams. Yes. So we also in Semarang area where there's drought, we have the rain harvesting system project, and like in coastal areas in Semarang we have the mangrove rehabilitations, and we also have the seawalls made from used tires that built to protect the fish ponds. This is from the local wisdom. Yeah, so to make all this project, we collaborate with universities, local NGOs, as well as the municipalities people from like various related agencies. So it's kind of multi-stakeholders project. Yeah, well, in Mexico, for us to implement our project, we have the mandate to consider about gender, to have the gender integration in our program and projects. And for now, we'll discuss more, explain more about the integration into our climate change adaptation project at the cities level. So our Mercy Core has the definition of genders. As you can see, it's a socially constructed roles and responsibility of women and men, which is really various and different among like different places, and it's like cultural and also it's changeable over time. And then the approach that we use is the gender equity, which is it's a fair treatment of males and females according to their respective needs. This may include equal treatment or treatments that is different but considered equivalent in terms of their right, benefit, obligation, and or opportunities. As you can see in the pictures, it's actually a simple ways to understand about gender equity approach to be implemented in our project. And the purpose of this to have this gender integration using gender equity approach is to reach the most vulnerable and to sustain impact. So we have this mandate, and then we think, what should we do? Some of the programs already ongoing, some are we're going to start. It will be easier for the program who just started, but how about the program that already started? So yeah, we all have this in mind. I mean, the knowledge that it's not effective to help community member in the same ways as we know Indonesia have various cultures, tribes, and even from one village to another village, there's a ways of cultures there. They might use a different language. And also, when we see at our resources, we are very limited. Yeah. And then the limited, it's like from the funding and also from even from the capacity of people, from all the assets that we have, we are limited. And well, we know we need to understand who are in the communities who are most vulnerable for us to help, that can make the difference. And we have also to understand who is the best position to make the sustainable change in the community. So, and how to do the gender equity in climate change project? That's in the beginning it was a kind of big questions coming to our mind. Is it something special that we have to do? So then we try to implement some of the theory that we get that I'll share to you. And I hope this might be useful for other areas too. This is the first one is about the SADD data. This sex age disaggregated data. We use this for our ongoing project. So for our ongoing project, we collect the sex age disaggregated data, which is the demography data. We can get it from the municipality at the local level, or we can collect it through the FGD or the survey that we were doing previously. We must have the record as the MNE%. So, and we might get to go to the field and to collect it based on the age group. Maybe there's a question why there should be like we have to divide this group. There are like 4 groups of age. Actually, the division of the group, it's to show the needs of people from at each of the group. It's different, so we have to get the data about how many people who we directly involve based on this group age. And actually, from this group of data, the age group and the sex male female, data, we will be able to understand the valuable information about the needs, the power dynamics within the communities, and then it's also help to see how those power dynamics affect on the lives of male, female, boys, girls, about their ability to access and control resources, and it's also show us new program opportunities. So okay, this is the theory that we get. So whether or not it is really useful when we implement it. So we'll try with our project, which is the flood early warning system. That is the project made to make the flood early warning system for the river, which usually get flooded, and many poor people live in that area, in the bank of the river. So we asked the monitoring team to collect this data, sex, male, female, and the age. And it should be people who they directly involve. So directly involved, it means in the design, in the community meetings, and in everything, it should be collected. So this is what we found, the data. As you can see in the green column, the data shows that there are more participation of male rather than female. And you can see it's only 27. And from the age group, yeah, it's only one age group from female side. When the monitoring team collect this data, they realize that, oh, yeah, we never think about other group actually. And then they also, because of this is like the age group, it's, by looking at this data, it's helped the project itself start from the monitoring team to realize that their flood early warning system actually is designed for the healthy men, not women, not pregnant women, not older people. So they start to realize that just by collecting this data. And then they start asking, okay, why? Okay, maybe because there's like lack of representative from other groups. They never heard. Why it happens? Oh, people realize in Indonesia, we have the strong belief most of our Muslims where the leader of the family is male. So it should be male who become the representative of the family. So the male is the one, the man is the one who come to the community meeting, join in the community group, give all the voice, but they're not really talking about their family. They're talking about them as the community, but in their mind, the perspective of the community is just them who are in the group. I mean, when they gather in the meetings, they see another man, okay. It's also kind of shocked to know why they don't even think about their babies, their wives, their pregnant wives. Yeah, it's also quite, yeah, for us to think why they're not thinking about them. But that's what happened when it's just the group of male with really strong culture about a man as the leader of the family come to the group without with the lack of representative of women. That's what happened. There's a woman there, 27 women, but they might not talk because in the culture, it's supposed to be men who do the talk, not the women. The women come, maybe they just come to serve food or to prepare the facilities for them to gather. Yeah, that's what happened in the field. Yeah, so this, wow, another 10 minutes, I still have lots of slides, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's what happened, and then the project realized they have no more budget to do it, so what should they do? So this is the real case happen now. What they are doing now is they try to advocate the disaster management agency at the local level to later continue on this project to fill the gap. So they already have the system for the healthy group, the male group, for this disaster management agency to look at the other vulnerable group. Okay, and then back at the project itself, I'll re-explain a bit about the way we have our adaptation project. This is the change if we have, if we're going to start a project, to have it in the design phase, to plan, at the design phase, we're doing this gender analysis. Actually, when you do the climate change things, you always think that it's supposed to happen in the vulnerability assessment phase. But the reality in vulnerability assessment, okay, it shows who are the vulnerable group, but not really look into detail on those groups. So when you already get started into your adaptation project, it's better to look into details on those groups. So this is what we are doing with the project, which has the chances to do it properly. So yeah, the gender analysis, what we mean by it is to ways we can assess and understand the different life of women and men and girls and boys and relationships among them. It is, we take a look on those aspects, which is the access control, resources, opportunities, and others there. The way how we're looking into this, we use the tools like Wheel of Equity, Tree of Gender Tree. Actually, it sees the causal link. We try to understand what happened in the community related to genders, about whether or not they can access or control the resources. And we use these tools to understand more on each aspect of the lives of each of gender group using these tools. And we also see another system access around the vulnerable people in that area that might us help with the sustainability plan. So I'm sorry, I will not explain more about this, but we can meet after this if you are interested to discuss more about these tools. So this is our application. It's in our one of our city, which is Semarang. It's in Kemudian sub-district. As you can see, the climate change impact caused the sea level rise. So people live in the coastal area, they get the rock flood every day. When the waters comes in, it gets into their house. There's a flood. But there's another problem in that area, which is the land subsidence. It's not because of climate change, the land subsidence. It was there, might caused by other factors, but it makes the climate change impact become even more severe. As you can see, that's the house sunk. For the poor people, they cannot have more money to elevate their house. So it just sunk. So the poor people, when their house gone, they just go and live in a bank of the river somewhere with a really riot house. So this is one of the area which is recommended in the vulnerability assessment and then take into account into our city resilience strategy. And then when we're coming to making the pilot project for this area, we know what we do. We're going to help people, the poor people, to elevate something important in their house. Okay, what is that and who are they? So this is what we're doing. At that time, the way we assess, we do the gender analysis, we do the focus group discussion. It's not only once, it's several times focus group discussion. It's involved the women group, it's involved the men group, it's involved the local authority at the village level, and also the local NGO working in that area. And we are analyze all this aspect, and we found the conclusion of all of that is that women-headed household is the one who really get the impact. They don't have enough, if we look at the access, they really have difficulties to access the sanitation in their house. Because as you can see in the pictures, where the women stands, the water comes in, it happens every day. And when it happens, they cannot control their resources. They cannot go to their restroom. For the one who have a well, they cannot even get the clean water. So yeah, at that time, the way we do this, yes, we know that there are many poor people, but we are comparing each of these poor people, we group, and then because of the FGD, we know that this women-headed household is the one who really most vulnerable in that area, among the vulnerable people, among the poor people. So, and then other system access, because we work with the local NGO help us to identify that there's like the community self-supporting agencies. I don't know whether or not it's exists in your place, but apparently in that city, in that sub-district, they have it for the level of the village. So by having the knowledge of the people who are most vulnerable, by looking at looking all these elements, so this gives lots of contribution to the project design. They know who are the most vulnerable, and they also knows it helps them to think about the strategy to help them, and by identify another system that might exist, which is this the small, what you call it, microcredits. Yeah, it happened there. So this has helped the project to design it to target on the most vulnerable. So when the project is approved, it is for the women-headed household. It's 26 people in that area. And if you see in the pictures below, that's the result of the intervention. They elevated the latrine, they elevated the well of these women. And the land subsidence, it's something that always happens. And each year it might like half a meter get sunk. So just imagine, if we give them the help now, how about another 5 years? Are we still there? So that's why the idea of having this microcredit, it's really important. So as the project, from the ACER program, we give the fund for this community self-supporting agency, or we call BKM, to run the credits for these poor people. And the credit is for 18 up to 20 months. And it's in the amount of $150 to $200. With that amount of money, you can make that elevated the latrine or elevated the well. It's something that exists in the community that can, when their access to those resources, it happened again, they still can access the credits. So the lesson learned that we take, it's by having the SADD and gender analysis, it can help us to understand who knows what and who does what, including making decisions, controlling the access, and also the asset, various type of asset that are in the community that are important for their lives. And it can contribute to the program or the project to plan for their strategy. So their strategy can be really affect to the most vulnerable people. And by doing this analysis, it can also have to show a new program opportunity access that maybe can be followed up by others agencies back in Indonesia. We can advocate government to do it, or just show another donor on the problem in that area. And by also identify another system around, it can help or it can contribute to the project sustainability strategy. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Maybe you have any questions, comment, or experience from your place.